This video is just me talking about my thoughts on a certain subject. Today I want to talk about the winter cashback scheme that National Grid have been running this winter in the UK. And I don't want this to be in any way political. That's not a line I want to cross as far as my YouTube videos are concerned. But I just want to talk about what they've been doing and also just me trying to work out how the calculations are done behind the scenes. Because for me at least, it just doesn't seem to make any sense at all. But I could be doing this completely wrong. In fact, I could end up deleting this video straight away because somebody comes up in the comments straight away and says, no, that's not how it works. This is how it works. You're being paid perfectly all right. National Grid, who deal with our electricity grid here in the UK, have been running what they call a winter cashback scheme this year. And for those of you who haven't heard of these things, or those of you who don't know about these things, the purpose of it is if they have a period of time where they see energy usage being particularly high versus their ability to generate energy, then they will ask people, incentivize people to offset their energy usage. Normally it would be between 5 and 6, and they're saying, well, if you use it outside that time, we'll pay you some money. That's the idea, right? I mean, it is the whole thing around this is that people won't do anything unless you actually give them something in return. Of course, there are people out there, I think I'd be perfectly happy for them to say to me, we really would like some help this week at this time, just because. And I don't think I'd be happy to do that. But I'm not sure I'd go out of my way to do it. And I think there are a lot of people out there who would just do nothing and would not do anything. So you have to pay people to do stuff. As I understand it, they say, right, between 5 and 6, reduce your energy usage or use it at a different time. And we will look at what you would normally use during that time. So let's say you would normally use 2 kilowatt hours of electricity between 5 and 6. And if you use less during that time and you only use 1, you have effectively saved 1 kilowatt hour. And they put a price on that. So most of the sessions, they've done 5 sessions this year. Kind of thought it would be more than 5 so far, but there've only been 5 times they feel they've needed to do this. And 4 out of those 5 have been about £3 something per kilowatt hour. And one of them was a £5.50 odd per kilowatt hour saved. Now that's not bad, is it? Because that one was that was actually an hour and a half session. So that was between 4:30 and 6 in the evening. And that for us, as a household at least, I'm only talking about this from a household point of view, of course. I don't know how this impacted industry. I don't know how this impacted any kind of other businesses or anything like that. But during that time, between 4:30 and 6, I pulled up all the kind of data that I could. I just took a really small sample just to get an idea of what we normally use. Because I thought, yeah, that probably is a busy time. And it is. From what I can see, if we're away, of course we don't use anything, but the usage really ranges between about half a kilowatt hour and about 2 to 2.5 kilowatt hours of energy just during that time period. Because if the kids are back from school and the kids are, one of them will be on his PC and then we'll be cooking some food and boiling the kettle for stuff and the TV will be on downstairs and the lights, of course, during winter will be on. And there are just lots of things going on at that time of day. The average worked out at about 1.75 kilowatt hours during that time period. And when it came down to it, I thought, well, this, we're very fortunate. I'm not going to lie. We're very fortunate. We don't need to do this. This isn't about money. We don't need to do it, and I think that's why the scheme is kind of a bit weird, really, because if they sell it as being about money, then the people who really need to benefit from that are people who won't, because they're already cutting back as much as possible, and therefore the reduction in usage, you can only cut back a certain amount, and so if you're turning off one more thing, you're not really going to save on your normal average usage, are you? Anyhow, during that time, I managed to get the household usage down to 50 watts. Can you turn the mains up? Can you just turn the smart plug off for me? Let's see whether it'll do a smooth switch over it, because I don't think it's designed for this, but let's see what it does. This might mess your game up, by the way. Okay?
I'm not in the game.
No, okay, fine.
I'm just gonna go for a second. I'll be back on in a minute.
Let's see what it does. So just turn off that plug.
So,
Yep. Oh, nice.
wow.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Making some toast with a battery. So this thing's putting out just over a kilowatt. 1029 watts. Won't last long like this. Probably about 45 minutes. But the thing is, it doesn't take 45 minutes to make a piece of toast. Realistically, yeah, most of the house can run for a good few hours on batteries, and I like that. I like the thought that that can be done. So I see it as a bit of a challenge to try and reduce usage in the house, offset our usage, and see how low we can get it. So the whole house was running on about 50 watts during that time. So I used 0.09 kilowatt hours during that 1.5 hour period. That's not bad, is it? So I hear what you're saying. Why all the guesswork? Why not just take a look at how this is calculated? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So here is the Hugo website, and they've got a couple of examples, and they've got an explanation of how the winter cashback is calculated. And it is really quite straightforward. The only thing I didn't count on is the fact they only look across the last 10 weekdays, or the last 10 days relevant to that event. So in the case of January the 24th, it was a weekday, so they'll be looking at the last 10 weekdays of use, which actually is really good for me because I looked at about 8 or 9 weekdays prior to that event. So the usage is pretty much as I expected. It is 1.75 kilowatt hours on average. They also have an adjusted baseline figure, which means they look at the usage across the period of 1 to 4 p.m. on the day of the event, and they just work out that there isn't anything weird going on with your usage. I don't think there was. I don't know for sure, but I don't believe there was anything strange going on those on that particular day or those particular days prior to the event. So I think I'm okay here. So my calculation goes like this. I've got a baseline of 1.75 kilowatt hours. That's my unadjusted baseline. I'm not going to make any adjustments to that. I don't think that's necessary. My usage was 0.09 kilowatt hours, which gives me 1.66 kilowatt hours saved. The actual amount on that day was £5.46 per kilowatt hour, which would give me a figure of £9.06. But as you can see from this page, they actually only give you an 80% revenue share. So that figure should have come in at £7.25. So what I want to know is where they got the £1.60 from, because even in a worst case scenario, I can't see a situation where it would drop down from £7.25 to £1.60. But the general idea of me talking about this is that other people I've spoken to who have been doing this scheme, have been running this either through the Hugo app or just because they got a smart meter, they decide to do it, whatever their energy provider is that allows them to run and use this, try out and do this scheme, the winter cashback scheme, that is. They've also said, well, we're just, we're talking pence here. People are making 50 pence. I think I was speaking to my sister, and she's done all 5 as well. I think she's made £2.40 in total, and she's been really good with energy. I think everybody has this whole reduction in energy thing, and the massive increase in energy cost has impacted everybody. Anyone you talk to, no matter whether people, even people who have clearly got plenty of money, have been cutting back on their usage. And anyway, she has been good with it this year, and she's definitely reduced her usage during that time. She's got like £2.50 odd. To give you an idea of why they chose these particular days to run the winter cashback events, I need to look at an energy dashboard site, and this is the best one I can find. It's energydashboard.co.uk. I'm sure these stats are available freely and can be pulled into any decent graph generation and data visualization program, but this one does a really nice job of it, and they've recently updated it and added some new capability. One of those is historical data, and what I'm going to do is just show you the 24th of January, because that's when they ran the event. So if I just go back to the 24th of Jan 2023, and what we see here is that gas, the generation mix is massively leaning towards gas. Now the reason for that is because there's no wind. Look at the proportion of generation here that's wind. It is virtually nothing. Well, it's not nothing, but it's very low considering what the UK can do. And if I jump to, say, the 1st of Feb, see what sort of a difference it can be. Now here, look, we've got 19.9 gigawatts of energy being generated from wind. Compare that to the 24th of Jan, where generation from wind was a mere 5.1 gigawatts. And then factor in weather as well. Back on the 24th of Jan, we were seeing lows of -2, -4 in the Bristol area. It's not particularly cold around here, so probably other areas of the country were more like kind of -9, -10. Now, I know some of you out there will be saying, well, that's nothing. We get -20, -30. But for the UK, that is pretty cold. It isn't what we would usually expect for any length of time at any time, really. So what we have here is a bad mix of no wind generation versus cold weather. Yeah, they need some help. So I just think, well, if you're going to incentivize people, incentivize them properly, pay people properly. And I don't really see what the calculations are on this. What have I misunderstood here? What have I got wrong? I don't know how much I should have expected for that time period, or what. Maybe they're looking at it. They're including all the summer as well, and in that average, because I didn't pull any data for the summer, and maybe our average during that time is much lower. But I wouldn't have thought so, because our electricity usage between summer and winter doesn't actually change that much. On average, as a house, we use about 11 kilowatt hours per day. In the summer, yes, it's much less, because we generate a small amount from solar, and also, of course, you don't have lights on, and everything just is a bit different. You're just out a bit more in the summer, and so your usage reduces to maybe on average about 8 kilowatt hours a day. So there isn't a huge difference, and we still do those peak things at that time in the summer. We still make the food. We still have an electric oven on between the hours of 4:30 and 6 o'clock for our children. And yeah, so I'm just trying to work it out in my mind, and I'm not a fan of the fact that the media sell this as you could save, cashback schemes are coming and you could save £100. Isn't that really useful during this cost of living crisis? And I just sort of think, well, honestly, I'm making a real effort here. I'm massively reducing usage, probably considerably more than a lot of other households are able to or would even want to try to. And I'm getting pittance for it, £1 for a session where I would have expected maybe £8. So what have I calculated wrong? Please let me know in the comments. Correct me, make me look like an idiot. I don't mind, because I don't know everything about this. I haven't sort of massively researched this or anything. I'm just having a chat with you in the same way as I would chat to somebody at work about this, if they would be interested enough to listen. I'm hoping that as you've come to this video, maybe you are actually just even slightly interested in this topic. But stick it down in the comments. How much have you saved? Have you been part of this scheme? Can you be bothered offsetting your usage, changing your usage? Please don't go get political on this. I really, as I mentioned at the start, I don't want this video to be a political one. I don't want my opinions on the government's approach to energy and all that to come across, or even go into that. This is just about the maths. Why does it not seem to tally up with my understanding of how this cashback scheme should work? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.